Hey there, I'm Mallory Cooper, and I'm here today to talk to you about our read-through spreadsheet that I developed back in like 2017 and has been through some upgrades through the years. So it's a little bit better than it used to be, but still fundamentally the same. And the goal of this spreadsheet is to help you understand that every time you sell book one, how much money you're going to make. And that it accounts for the fact that not everybody makes it all the way through. And it sort of figures out how many people make it from book one to book two to book three, and so on. So you can get a number in your head of what basically your revenue is whenever you sell book one, and then you can use other tools and strategies to figure out what it costs you to sell book one, and then work out your profitability. And of course, all of that is also in place for KU reads as well. How much money it's going to cost you to get your KU reads, and then how much money you're going to make once you get someone reading in KU. So to share my screen, and we're going to dive into the spreadsheet. Now, I know not everyone is super keen on spreadsheets. And I tried to make this as friendly as possible. Zooming in a bit here so you guys can see it a little better. All right. So you only need to fill in green sections. So anything that's green, you fill in. Anything that's not green, you leave it alone. So the first thing you need to fill in, of course, is if you want, you can fill in your titles. You don't have to. And if you would only have, say, 3 books in a series, then you'll just basically only put in numbers for 3 books in a series. So you would go and just sort of blank out all of your sales data for any books beyond book 3. It might throw some errors because I never really got around to making it so it doesn't throw errors for that, but you don't need to worry about it because you're not looking at anything in these fields. And it doesn't matter if you leave all this other information in here for books you don't have, just as long as you turn out or take out the sales information and reads information, then you don't have to worry about it. We're going to dig into that momentarily. So the first thing you'll need to find out is what your KENPC is for a book. Actually, I guess technically that should be a lowercase c. I think that's how Amazon does it. To find out your KENPC, you go to KDP. So we'll go here to kdp.amazon.com. Find a book. Oh, I need a book that's in KU. Here we go. This book's in KU. And I'll choose KDP Select Info. And then, yep, that's great. Thank you for renewing. Down here at the bottom, here it is. Oh, no, it is uppercase. I had it right. It tells you what the KENPC is for your book. And that what that is, as it says, the normalized page count. It's how many pages they think your book has when it comes to Kindle. So if, the current page rate is, 0.42, currently it's 0.41. So it's a 0041 times 507. That means I get $2.08 for if someone read all 507 pages in this book. And so that's how you can work out what it's looking like. And just for kicks, let's say, for example, it's a good month. Our page rank is 0.0048 times 507, and it's $2.43. So it's like another 40 cents you get per read. So that's an important number because we need to know what a full read of the book looks like so we can calculate everything. So you get that number and you'll go and plug it in for each of the books that you're tracking. Then you put in your price and then you put in the royalty percentage for that price. I guess I could have written it so that it was smart and figured out that your royalty percentage is what it is based on the price. I didn't. Maybe in a future version I will. But for now, you got to fill it in. Pretty simple. And then the last thing you want to put in is what your delivery fee is. And your delivery fee is going to be in the spreadsheet that you get off. If you ever go to KDP, you go to reports, and on the left-hand side, there's things prior month's royalties. Pick a prior month, download the spreadsheet, and it will show you what your delivery fee is. It's going to be higher for omnibuses, lower for standalones. But it's a handy thing to know. It's also different for every country. I generally just put in the US price. And of course, if your royalty rate is 35%, there's no delivery fee. If you don't know, or you just can't be bothered to go look it up just for this, I would just put in, not 0.7, 0.07. So I would put in, that. That's not a bad price. If it's like a shorter story, like something under 40K, then maybe put in like 0.3 or 0.4. I recommend looking it up. Figure out what that number should be. It does matter. And like I said, if you put a lot of graphics in your book, it can actually be high. You could be paying as much as 25 cents per book to deliver the book. Now, one part of me is like, this is kind of BS Amazon, and I actually think no matter no matter how you slice it, it's BS that they charge us this. But it is like a one-time fee, no matter how long someone downloads the book and how many devices they send it to. So I was like, okay, maybe, but Amazon controls like 1/3 of the internet at this point, so I don't think it costs them that much. Just saying. All right. So it tells you now every time you sell a book what your net sales are going to be. So you can actually see sales minus the read through, and then it also tells you what the cost, what the value of a full KU read is, which is sort of handy information to have. And then pick like a good stretch of time, something where you can have a good sales volume. Like if you only have like 10 sales a month on book one, pick a longer period. Try to find a period of time, like expand it until you have like maybe like 30 to 50 sales at the least for book one. And then just plug in all the sales for all of the books in the series at that point, and then the reads each, for that time frame that you picked, how many reads you got. And then it will tell you, your reads converted to 139 sales. It's kind of a handy number to know. In this case, reads converted to 119. In this case, the volume of reads converted to 98. And it says what your book over book sales read through is. So how many people that bought book one bought book two, 65%. And then how many people that bought book two bought book three, 77%. And then we have the same thing for reads as well. Reads are generally a lot higher, book over book read through. And then your cumulative sales and your cumulative reads. Yes, it says come. Someone's going to comment on that, I'm sure. And those are going to come down, because basically what this means is that at this point, 50% of the people that read book one moved on to buy book three, say, because of sales. If I make this next number, like 10 or 20, then we see here that only 20% of the people, because 20 is 20% of 100. Easy math there, right? And so on. So that's how that works. Then next up, what it will do is it will calculate the value of the sales each time a book sells. So on average, when you sell book one, you sell book one. So it's always going to make the retail price, the retail royalty. Every time you sell book two, you're going to get $1.77, because only 65% of the people read it, and 65%, $3.99, is $1.77, and then so on and so forth. So it kind of goes on down. And you might see weird things in the reads value, because, for example, wait, I make more money on book three than I do in the other ones. Well, that's because book three is longer in this example. And at the very end, it will say, every time you sell book one, you make $348 in read through sales, and you make $691 in reads value. And that means every time you sell book one, you're making $9.65 on average. One of the ways we kind of work that out is with this reads to sales ratio. We sort of assume that if basically work out like how often you do sales versus reads. So in this particular scenario, reads are significantly higher. So every time there's a sale of book one, there's 1.4 full reads of book one. So we work out that ratio. So that way I can say, like, okay, whenever I sell book one, I'm also going to assume I'm getting a certain amount of reads. And that's all built off of that ratio. And then the last thing you can change is you can put in the current rate, which right now is 0041. And that tells you what the numbers can be. So 0041 brings us down to 879, whereas the number that I think I had in here before, 45, is 965. So it is substantial across all of your read through. It's about $1 difference that that's sort of like a nicer page rate makes versus the low page rate we have at the time I'm recording this. So it does matter. And then down in AMS land, I just list out at what ACOS is you'll be profitable. So if we look here, if there's no KU involved, your ACOS has to be under 300% for you to be profitable. And if you have KU in the mix, then you're actually profitable at any ACOS. So that's the way this one works out. So even at 500% ACOS, you're still making $5.44, even if it costs you, $4.95 to make a sale. You're still making a good profit. Whereas if it costs you $4.95 to make a sale, you're losing money here because you only make $3.48 in reads alone or sales alone. So that's how that works out. And you could extend this if you wanted. I just figured 500% ACOS is more than enough. But that's how it is. And then there's also a version of this that is up to 10 books with the perma-free. But really, you don't have to use this. You can just basically, these are just examples. You can just use this and just set your price to 0 on book one. and then it will take care of that for you. And it doesn't handle net reads properly with permafree, because there are no reads with permafree, right? Like this number is going to be 0. So it's because, of course, to be permafree, you have to be wide. So you kind of just have to like if the number needs to be there, put it in. If it doesn't, zero it out. And it will handle everything just fine. Like I said, it will throw some divide by 0 errors, because it's like, hey, you actually don't have, you can't divide a number by 0, right? You don't have any numbers here, but it's fine. It handles it, and it still gives you the right answers. It just highlights that you're not in KU. For anyone who's interested, by the way, I am building software to do all of this down the road. So eventually we can move away from a spreadsheet and actually have a cool program that will do all this work for us. But for now, you got to use a spreadsheet, and hopefully it's not too hard. It doesn't cause anyone undue strain, and you'll be able to make the most of it and figure out what your read through value is. Because once you have that, like I said, you can then calculate your cost to sell a book by other means that we talk about at other points. And now you know, okay, it cost me $7 to sell book 1. But according to this, I'm making $9.65 every time I sell book 1. So you can determine, are your ads profitable? Are your marketing efforts profitable? All right. Thanks, everyone. Have yourselves a fantastic day. See you around with some more videos.